What is the future of crypto and what is going on in the crypto market right now? I know that we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about crypto on this channel. I think this is a very neglected subject, and today what I want to do in this video is to tell you where I believe crypto is going in the next 2 to 5 years, and we're also going to have a look at the current situation in the market. Let's get started with this video. I'm pretty excited because lots of things have been happening in the crypto market recently. You're probably aware of how much money the Fed has been printing over the past 18 months. From May 2020 through April 2022, the Fed has printed 40% of all the money in existence. Well, that's the US dollar, right? If we take a look at other governments around the world, like in Europe, Australia, things don't look too much better. With that being said, that really explains this massive and prolonged bull run that's been taking place in the crypto market. It is nothing but inflation that's happening, right? That's helping this market to rise this much without really having experienced that many sell-off. And we had a pretty big sell-off yesterday. And in fact, Bitcoin sold off from $53,250 all the way down to $42,784. And that happened literally in half an hour or an hour. And of course, as it always is, there is a bounce, right? So we had roughly a 22.5% sell-off. And since then, the market has kind of recovered. It's always like this. There's a sell-off of, a pretty decent amount. And then there's obviously a lot of buyers because people have placed their buy orders at a lower level. And so naturally, these buy orders are kicking in and consequently help the price to improve again. What's really interesting about this current bull run is that it really has many similarities when compared to the bull run of 2017. And what I mean by that is, if we take a look at the chart here for a moment, very similar. The beginning of December 2017, we also had a pretty significant sell-off, which I like to call the pre-Christmas sell-off, right? And we also sold off here, Bitcoin was trading at $18,247 and it sold off all the way down to $13,622, right? So we lost almost $5,000 in value in literally just 3 days. What's been happening and why this is so similar is because we have definitely had a great time in this bull market, and we're just talking about Bitcoin right now. If we take a look at the other cryptocurrencies, many have sold off far worse, right? There have been extreme dumps going on, and some cryptocurrencies even sold off as much as 40 to 50%. That is a pretty significant sell-off. It's a pre-Christmas sell-off, meaning a lot of people are taking profit right now because they need the money to buy Christmas gifts, So they sell, they're running to cash, and they're going to use that cash to buy things that they want to buy, right? For people that are close to them, And that is very normal. And it happened on December 3rd this year, and in 2017 it happened on December 7th. So there is a definite similarity, and this is interesting to see how this is going to pan out if the cycle repeats itself. Obviously not, exactly day by day, but there seem to be many patterns that both cycles have in common. And if that should continue like this, there's going to be another sell-off right before Christmas. What does this mean to you? Well, it means that there is probably going to be another run-up right now, right? There's going to be another wave, and chances are you're going to make money if you have bought in, if you have bought a dip, and you're going to hold now for, I don't know how long, maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks max, but it's probably going to be a week to 2 weeks. That's assuming that the cycle is going to pan out very similar to what we experienced in 2017. Obviously, I'm not God. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not making any guarantees. I'm just telling you because I've been looking at the charts. I've been analyzing for myself. In fact, I have exited a position myself on December 1st. What does the crypto future hold? I think this is a question that a lot of you guys have been asking, not only recently, but for a prolonged time, because crypto is kind of a tricky subject, right? Crypto is not that regulated. Even though crypto's been around for many years, in a lot of countries, crypto is just not regulated, meaning banks don't really forbid citizens or residents to purchase cryptocurrencies with their own money. However, what we're going to see happening very soon, and I think the US is going to come in last place here or at the very end, is a central-based digital currency. And the reason why we're moving towards a central-based digital currency is because governments want to avoid a lot of things. They want to avoid tax evasion. They want to avoid not having the control that they're going to have if and when they implement a central-based digital currency. This is an undeniable fact, and we're going to see this happening. One of the countries that I wanted to point out that has really made a lot of progress in this department is China. Like, China has already implemented a digital yuan, and they're doing it, and for good reasons, right? It gives the government more control. The government sees, it overlooks all transactions that happen for each and every person that resides in the country that uses the digital yuan for everyday life, for everyday purchases. Why do I think this is not going to happen so quickly in the United States? Because the United States is very cash heavy. It's very cash heavy, much more than other countries. And I think before the United States can move towards a central-based digital currency, I mean, for the majority of the population, we need to see a lot of that physical money move out of circulation. We haven't seen that yet, and the US government hasn't really made that many efforts to really achieve that either. If we take a look at Sweden, and Sweden has already created a digital krona, okay, an e-cryptocurrency, krona. And they're using that because Sweden is not a very cash-heavy country. In fact, there's not a lot of cash left in circulation in Sweden, which really brings a lot more motives to the table, because people aren't using fiat currency, I mean traditional fiat currency in the form of paper money and coins, that much anymore in Sweden. In fact, only about 10% of all the transactions happening in Sweden are happening with physical fiat currency, which is not that much. There's a lot of countries where this ratio is well above 50%, meaning 50% of the population is still using physical money to pay for goods and services. You know, let's say they go to the supermarket, you know, guess what? They have paper money. They don't use ATM cards, debit cards, credit cards, bonus cards. They don't use that as much yet. It's just not a part of society. You know, especially if we take a look at Asian countries, you know, in some countries more, probably in Singapore, you know, I'd make a bet, is probably a country where people are using debit and credit cards a lot. Other places like Philippines and Vietnam, people are obviously not using credit cards that much because they are not common in those places. So the pros of a central-based digital currency are pretty obvious. And what the government wants to do is the government wants to get rid of the scam, of the scandals. Because a lot of scam right now, like a lot of illegal activities, are being funded with cryptocurrencies. I know a lot of people would say, oh, maybe that's not true, but it actually is true, because it's very difficult to backtrack a cryptocurrency transaction. I know that you're going to be able to see like the IP and everything, but it is a lot more hassle to get that information on the table than it is, you know, if you send a regular bank wire from one country to the other, because the bank account belongs to a person. Whereas in crypto, everything is anonymous. However, what the government wants to do with a central-based digital currency is to only dedicate one wallet for each resident or citizen. And this definitely would give the government ultimate control, the control the government wants. Tax evasion is another big point. There's a lot of transactions happening under the table. You know, let's say you charge for a product or service, and in order to help yourself, you are charging it privately, as you probably know people like to call it. So instead of someone sending a company money via ACH, via bank wire, via any form that is trackable, they rather, you know, have the customer pay that money in cash so they don't have to report it on their tax return. Depending on how much money it is, the IRS will or will not be able to actually know what is going on. So people are asking for cash payments because they want to reduce their tax burden. It's very obvious, so they don't fall into a higher tax bracket, or to reduce their overall tax burden. What does this mean when it comes to the future of crypto? I think what's going to happen is that regular banks are going to go out of business because there's no need for regular banks. Once a country like the United States launches a central-based digital currency, I don't think there is a need for regular banks. There just isn't, because everything that regular banks have been doing, the central bank is going to do moving forward. And there's really no need to have these banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, TD Ameritrade, and all the other big US banks. There's no need for them anymore. The Fed, meaning government, is going to handle it from that point on, and regular banks are going to be history. And what could happen, or what is very likely to happen, I can't say it's going to happen 100%, but what is likely to happen is that the central bank is going to say, hey, you know what? We don't want you to spend money on Bitcoin anymore, because Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, is a speculative asset. It is not an asset that is used in everyday life. It really isn't. So they're probably going to say, you know what? You're using this money, you're using your fiat money to buy cryptocurrencies, and then the government has a really hard time, following where you send your money, what you do with your money, what goods and services you buy with your money, and who gets your money, and for what reasons they get your money. The government is probably going to say, hey, you know what? We're going to block transactions that go to these exchanges. Let's say a Binance, let's say a CoinDesk, a Bitstamp. They're just going to say, no more. We don't want this to happen anymore. We're going to pull the plug. And this could then be the end of crypto as we know it. Again, I'm not saying with 100% certainty that this is going to happen, but given the fact that governments are working on central-based digital currencies, and the fact that certain governments, including the Chinese government, the Turkish governments, have forbidden their own citizens and residents to invest in cryptocurrencies. Yeah, China and Turkey are prime examples. So one could argue that the benefits are really only in favor of the government, because for us it means less freedom, less privacy, less flexibility. We don't get a better deal if and when the government should decide that a central-based digital currency is going to be the only way forward. It's the only norm. If and when it happens, it's going to be a huge transition for a lot of people, and a lot of people are not going to be happy because their lives are going to be more restricted than before. When do you think the US government will move ahead with its central-based digital currency? Are you currently investing in cryptocurrencies yourself? If so, what is your strategy? Leave a comment below and let us know. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'm uploading new videos on digital nomad locations, crypto investing, and visas several times a week right now. Before I let you go, I got 3 recommendations for you. Recommendation 1, I wrote a completely free ebook on how you can retain a life of freedom during challenging times, meaning the times that we're in right now. Click on the link below to grab a free copy of my ebook. Recommendation 2, I shot a video on the pros and cons of living in Southeast Asia. Click on the link above to watch this video now. And recommendation 3, which is to watch another video of mine, the best countries for single guys. Watch this video now. Thank you for watching.